My name is Paul, and I am the voiceover for a ministry provided to you by Kym Coan at God is Government, called Your Daily Bread. Taken from Christ's teaching of the Lord's Prayer in Matthew chapter 6, verse 11. This is a daily devotion ministry focused not only on uplifting scripture, but scripture that will grow your spiritual connection with Christ. We hope that you receive these devotions to uplift you, encourage you, but most importantly, advance your knowledge base of the Holy Scriptures. Today's focused discussion will be on sober-mindedness. So is it okay for me to drink as a Christian today? Is that forbidden by God? Is that disallowed? Is there a commandment against that? How do I approach imbibing alcoholic beverages? And I told you last time that I wanted to offer 8 questions that you can ask and answer to get a complete response to those questions. Question number 1. Remember last time? This is the question where it has to start. Is the alcoholic beverage being consumed in biblical times the same as the alcoholic beverage today? Is the wine then the same as the wine today? And we went through in detail the fact that it is not. It is not. In ancient times, the wine was boiled, therefore all the alcoholic content was out of it. It was turned into a paste, almost the consistency of jam. It was put in an animal skin and squeezed out like you would squeeze out honey or jam, and then it was mixed with water, to be mixed 3-to-1, all the way 20-to-1. That was what people did because they needed to drink wine. Why did they need to drink wine? Because if you drank water, you could become very ill. Remember Paul said, stop drinking water to Timothy, and take a little wine for your stomach's sake. Because even though wine ferments, and that can be a problem, that fermentation at a low-level degree in the wine, when mixed with water, kills the bacteria in the water, so it purifies the water. You could also boil the water and have that same effect, but people were very careful about it, and they did not drink unmixed wine. Straight wine, as is drunk today, and other alcoholic beverages that go anywhere from 10% to 80% alcohol, are basically manufactured with that alcohol content as the objective. It's really the strong drink of the Bible, which was forbidden. So the argument that you can drink alcoholic beverages because people in the Bible drank wine falls apart when you realize that what they were drinking was very different even than the wine today. And the wine may be the most benign of all the possibilities. You can go all the way to 80% whiskey and things like that. It was not the same as today. There was no invention of the science of creating alcoholic beverages such as there is today. And again, I say it was fermented, but that was a gift from God to kill the bacteria that was in the water that could be very dangerous to people. So, if you were a Christian believer, you would understand that you needed to be sure you avoided drunkenness. You needed to be sure of that for the sake of your relationship to Christ and His church, but for the sake of your own life and well-being and productivity and everything else. So you did what everybody else did. You mixed it with water, or you boiled it, turned it into a paste, and then remixed it when you squeezed it out. And I said there's an illustration of that in Jesus making wine, which is a very important illustration in John 2. He made wine in 6 large pots for a wedding. But do you remember when the wine ran out? What did Jesus tell them to pour in the pots? Water, because it never would have been assumed that they would find wine unmixed and undiluted. Nor would He have created wine unmixed and undiluted. So it was obvious that that would be acceptable for the use of the folks at the wedding. So that was really just a review of what we saw in detail last week. So the first question then, is it the same? The answer is, it is not. Second question, is drinking necessary? Is drinking necessary? And the immediate answer is, no, it's not necessary. In ancient times, you had to drink what you had to drink. And so you had to protect yourself by mixing it with water, which basically purified the water. You were always drinking more water than wine. But you didn't have a choice in that agrarian culture. It was part of the family, growing of the vines. It was very simple life, and you did what you could to produce what you needed to survive in the heat. And you needed to be hydrated. You needed to be given drink, fluid, in that climate pretty much all year long, obviously. And so they had no choice because the water was not safe. So they had to mitigate against the potential of drunkenness. In the world in which we live today, there's no such necessity. You don't have to make that choice. It's not necessary. They didn't have the choice. We have the choice. I can tell you, for me personally, I made the choice a long time ago, never to drink any beverage with alcohol content in it at all. I have not suffered from that choice in any way. I have plenty of other things that I can drink. In fact, I have more things to drink than one could ever imagine. It's almost an unearthly experience to just walk down the aisle in the grocery where the drinks are, the non-alcoholic drinks. There's plenty out there. You don't need to put yourself in a position where you could fall victim to drunkenness and the loss of your sober-mindedness. Thank you for joining us in this exploration of sober-mindedness. Until next time, remember to keep the faith, stay strong, and continue to shine your light in the world. To hear these daily devotions of your daily bread, please log on to goddessgovernment.com. Goodbye, and may your faith always lead the way.